I thought my mother wanted to grieve with me. Instead, she showed up with a lawyer and a contract demanding I sign over most of my inheritance. When I refused, she didn't just get angry, she declared war. What happened next destroyed our family forever. Asterisk asterisk. I'm Nora. I'm 26 years old, and 3 months ago, my life changed in ways I never could have imagined. Not just because I lost someone I loved more than anything, but because the person who was supposed to protect me became my worst enemy. It started on a Thursday morning in September. I was in my apartment in Portland, deep into coding a new feature for my company's app, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Is this Nora Chen? A woman's voice asked.
Yes, who's this?
This is Officer Melissa Graves with the Seattle Police Department. I'm calling about your father, David Chen. I'm very sorry to tell you this, but there's been an accident. The words that followed didn't feel real. Motorcycle collision. Died at the scene. I'm so sorry for your loss. My dad was only 52. He was supposed to visit me next week. We were going to go hiking like we always did. He was careful on that bike, always wore his helmet, never rode in bad weather. How could this happen? I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just kept staring at my computer screen, at the lines of code that suddenly meant absolutely nothing. My dad and mom had divorced when I was 15. It wasn't pretty, but it also wasn't a war. They just grew apart. Dad moved to Seattle for work. Mom stayed in Sacramento with her new husband, Greg. Dad never remarried. He said he was married to his work and his motorcycle, and that was enough for him. He was a software engineer at a major tech company, the kind of person who wore the same 5 rotation of t-shirts and drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic even though he could afford better. He taught me everything about computers, about saving money, about investing. Every birthday, instead of toys, he'd put money into an index fund for me. Compound interest, Nora, he'd say. It's magic that actually exists. The funeral was small. Dad wasn't big on social events, so his friends were few but close. My mom showed up with Greg, her husband of 8 years. She hugged me, cried on my shoulder, told me how sorry she was. Greg stood awkwardly nearby, checking his phone. We're here for you, honey, Mom said. Whatever you need. I believed her. 2 days after the funeral, I got a call from a lawyer named Patricia Okonkwo. She'd been my dad's attorney for the past decade, handling his will and estate planning. Nora, I know this is a difficult time, Patricia said, her voice gentle but professional. But we need to meet to discuss your father's estate. Are you available this week? We met at her office in downtown Seattle. It was one of those places with too much dark wood and leather furniture, the kind that makes you feel like important decisions happen there. Patricia slid a folder across her desk.
Your father was very thorough.
He updated his will 6 months ago. I opened it. Inside was a detailed breakdown of everything my dad owned. A condo in Capitol Hill worth about $650,000. His 401k and IRA, totaling around $380,000. Stock portfolios, mostly tech stocks and index funds, worth another $290,000. A life insurance policy for $200,000. Over $1.5 million. I stared at the numbers until they blurred. He left everything to you, Patricia said. Every single asset. You're the sole beneficiary. My hands started shaking. Everything. Everything. His instructions were very clear. He wanted you to have financial security, to never have to worry the way he did growing up. He wrote you a letter. It's in the envelope. I opened it with trembling fingers. Dad's handwriting, slightly messy but unmistakably his. Nora. Asterisk if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm sorry I can't be there anymore. But I can do this one last thing. This money isn't just money, it's freedom. Freedom to take risks, to pursue dreams, to never feel trapped. Use it wisely. Invest it. Let it grow. And remember, you don't owe anyone anything. Not even family. Especially not family who didn't support your dreams. Asterisk. Asterisk, I love you more than words can say. Make me proud. Asterisk. Dad. I cried right there in Patricia's office. She handed me tissues and gave me time. There's a process called probate, she explained once I'd composed myself. It typically takes several months. During that time, we'll validate the will, pay any outstanding debts or taxes, and then transfer everything to you. Your father had very few debts, just regular bills. This should be straightforward. Does my mom know? I asked. Patricia's expression shifted slightly. She shouldn't yet. The will hasn't been filed publicly. But in cases like this, word tends to travel. Just be prepared for questions. I should have paid more attention to that warning. The first text from my mom came that evening. Asterisk, honey, can we talk?
Important family matter.
Asterisk. I called her. Hey mom, what's up? I spoke with someone at your dad's bank today, she said. Her voice had a strange quality to it, something I couldn't quite place. They mentioned something about his estate going through probate? My stomach dropped. Who did you talk to? Just someone in customer service. Greg knows people. We were just trying to help sort out David's affairs. Anyway, we should talk about this. There are some things to figure out. What things? Well, legally, as his ex-wife, I might have some claim to part of the estate. Community property laws in California. Dad lived in Washington, Mom. A pause. Right. Well, there are still things to discuss. Can we meet? Maybe this weekend. I don't think there's anything to discuss.
Dad's will is clear.
Nora. Her voice hardened. Your father and I were married for 18 years. I supported him through graduate school. I gave up career opportunities for his job. Don't I deserve something for that? You got your settlement in the divorce, Mom. 11 years ago. That's not the point. This is about what's fair. What's right. What's right is respecting Dad's wishes. She hung up on me. The texts started coming daily after that. Sometimes they were sad. Asterisk, I can't believe you'd shut me out like this.
I'm your mother.
Asterisk, sometimes they were angry. Asterisk, your father poisoned you against me.
You don't even see it.
Asterisk, sometimes they were threatening. Asterisk, you have no idea how hard I can make this for you. Asterisk. I showed everything to Patricia. She told me to document it all, but not to engage. People often act out of character around inheritance money, she said. It brings out the worst in families. 3 weeks after the funeral, my mom texted, asterisk, family meeting at my house this Sunday. 2 p.m. It's important. Please come. We need to work this out together. Asterisk. I didn't want to go. Every instinct told me it was a trap. But part of me, the part that still remembered her braiding my hair when I was little, helping me with homework, cheering at my soccer games, that part hoped maybe she just wanted to talk. To actually grieve together. I drove down to Sacramento that Sunday. Mom's house was in a nice suburb, one of those cookie-cutter developments where every house looks almost identical except for paint color. She and Greg had bought it 5 years ago, stretching their budget to impress their friends. I rang the doorbell. Greg answered. He was a heavy-set man with thinning hair and a constant expression of mild irritation. He worked in middle management at an insurance company and never seemed happy about it. Nora. Good, you're here. He didn't smile. Your mother's in the living room. I walked in and immediately knew something was wrong. My mom was there, dressed like she was going to a business meeting. And sitting next to her, with a leather briefcase open on the coffee table, was a man in an expensive suit. Nora, honey, come sit down, Mom said, gesturing to the chair across from them. This is Daniel Reeves. He's our family attorney. Your family attorney? I stayed standing. What's going on? Please, sit. Let's talk like adults. I sat, but kept my bag in my lap, my hand on my phone. Daniel Reeves smiled at me with too many teeth. Nora, it's nice to meet you. Your mother has asked me to help facilitate a conversation about your father's estate. There's nothing to facilitate.
The will is clear.
Well, that's what we need to discuss, Mom said. She slid a document across the table. We've drawn up an agreement, something that's fair to everyone. I looked at the document. It was dense with legal language, but the key points jumped out immediately. I would transfer 70% of my inheritance into a family trust. Mom would be the trustee. Greg and their 2 kids, my half-siblings, ages 12 and 9, would be beneficiaries. The trust would distribute funds for family needs as determined by the trustee. Are you insane? I looked up at her. You want me to give you most of my inheritance? It's not giving, it's sharing, Mom said. I'm your mother, Nora. Those are your brother and sister. We're a family. Your father, he never understood that.
He was always selfish with money.
Dad left me this money because he wanted me to have it. Your father left you that money because he was angry at me, she snapped. He was punishing me through you. But you're smarter than that. You know what's right. Daniel leaned forward. Ms. Chen, I understand this is emotional. But consider the practical side. Your mother could contest the will. That would tie everything up in court for years. Legal fees would eat into the estate. And there's a chance, a real chance, that a judge would rule in her favor, given her years of marriage to your father. In Washington state, where they had a clean divorce settlement. No chance. His smile faded. You seem very confident. Are you represented by counsel? Yes. Patricia Okonkwo. I watched Mom and Daniel exchange a glance. They knew that name. Patricia had a reputation. Look, Greg spoke up for the first time. Let's be real here. You're 26 years old. You don't need all that money. Your mom and I are trying to raise 2 kids, save for their college, pay a mortgage. We're struggling. You live in some cheap apartment. Greg, this doesn't concern you, I said coldly. The hell it doesn't. I'm part of this family, and your mom deserves. My mom deserves what my dad chose to give her.
Which is nothing.
The room went silent. Mom's face went pale, then red.
How dare you, she whispered. How dare I? How dare you?
I stood up. Dad's been dead for less than a month and you're already trying to steal from him. From me. You brought a lawyer to ambush me into signing away my inheritance. And you want to talk about what's fair. Sit down, Nora.
No.
I grabbed my bag. I'm leaving. Daniel stood too. Ms. Chen, I strongly advise you to reconsider. If you walk out of here without signing, things will get much more difficult. Is that a threat? It's a reality check, Mom said, standing. You think you can just walk away? That there won't be consequences? I will fight you on this. I will drag you through every court in this state. I will make your life hell.
Then I guess I'll see you in court.
I turned toward the door. You ungrateful little bitch, Greg muttered. I spun around.
Say that again.
He stepped toward me. For a second, I thought he might actually try to stop me physically. But Mom put a hand on his arm. Let her go, she said quietly. She'll come back.
She'll realize she has no choice.
I left without another word. In my car, hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition, I called Patricia. That bad? She asked after I explained what had happened. Worse. They had a contract ready. They tried to intimidate me into signing. Did you sign anything? Say anything that could be used against you? No.
I refused and left.
Good. Forward me any documentation they gave you. This actually helps us. It shows intent to coerce, possibly even intent to defraud. Document everything from this point forward. Every call, every text, every interaction. Patricia, I'm scared. My mom looked. I've never seen her like that. I know. But you did the right thing. Go home, lock your doors, and don't engage with them. Let me handle this. The next 3 weeks were psychological warfare. Mom called from different numbers. When I blocked her, she'd call from friends' phones. The voicemails started sad and desperate. Please, honey, I'm your mother. How can you do this to me? Then shifted to angry. You're going to regret this. You have no idea what I'm capable of. She sent letters to my apartment. Some were handwritten, rambling things about how I'd broken her heart, how she'd given me life, and this was how I repaid her. Others were from Daniel Reeves, full of legal threats and demands. She showed up at my apartment building twice. I had just moved into a new place with better security, and the front desk turned her away both times. She screamed at them that I was keeping her grandson from her. I don't have children. She was lying. Greg started leaving reviews on my company's website, claiming I'd scammed them in a business deal. I had to get HR involved to document that it wasn't true and was clearly retaliation. My half-siblings' social media filled up with posts about fake family and greedy people who forget where they came from. They were just kids being manipulated by their parents, but it still hurt. Then came the financial attacks. I got an alert from my bank. Someone had tried to access my account. The login attempt came from Sacramento. I immediately changed all my passwords and enabled two-factor authentication on everything. The next day, I got a call from a credit card company about an application in my name. I hadn't applied. They gave me the address used, My mother's house. Then a collections agency called about an unpaid hospital bill. Again, not mine. Again, my mom's address. She was trying to steal my identity. I filed a police report. Then a complaint with the FTC. Then I froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. Patricia was furious when I told her. This is beyond inheritance disputes now. This is criminal. We need to document everything and prepare for the worst. What's the worst? That she escalates. That she gets desperate enough to do something really dangerous. 2 nights later, at 2 a.m., my apartment building's fire alarm went off. Everyone evacuated to the street in their pajamas, confused and freezing. The fire department came. No fire. Someone had pulled the alarm manually. Security footage showed a figure in a hoodie entering through the side door that a resident had propped open. They walked directly to the alarm, pulled it, and left. The figure's build matched my mother. I couldn't prove it was her, but I knew. The police took a report but said without clear footage of the person's face, there wasn't much they could do. I stopped sleeping well. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. I installed extra locks on my door. I started looking over my shoulder constantly. Patricia filed for a restraining order. The court date was set for 2 weeks out, but 3 days before that hearing, everything exploded. I came home from work to find my apartment door slightly ajar. The locks were intact, but the door wasn't closed all the way. I called 911 and waited in the stairwell until police arrived. My apartment had been ransacked. Drawers dumped, closets searched, even my mattress had been flipped. My laptop was gone. My backup hard drive. Papers scattered everywhere. But here's the thing. I'm a tech person. I'm paranoid about security. My real laptop, with all my important documents and backups, was at my office. The laptop at home was an old spare I kept for streaming. And my apartment had cameras. Not obvious ones. Little ones hidden in a bookshelf and a smoke detector, recording to cloud storage. The police watched the footage with me at the station. It showed a man entering my apartment with a key, a locksmith key, the kind that can open basic locks. He wore gloves and a baseball cap, but when he turned toward one camera, we got a clear shot of his face. It was Greg. Do you know this man? The officer asked. That's my stepfather, Greg Morrison. They arrested him 6 hours later at his home. He immediately tried to claim he was checking on me because I hadn't answered my phone. But the footage showed him deliberately searching through my things, taking photos of documents with his phone. And when they searched his phone, they found texts between him and my mother planning the whole thing. She told him where I kept important papers. Wrong. I'd lied to her months ago when she'd asked. She'd arranged for the locksmith key through a friend of hers. It was all there. Conspiracy to commit burglary. Identity theft attempts. Everything. My mom was arrested the next morning. The trial happened 4 months later, in February. Both Mom and Greg were charged with multiple crimes: attempted identity theft, fraud, criminal trespass, conspiracy. I sat in that courtroom with Patricia beside me and watched my mother, the woman who taught me to tie my shoes, who'd stayed up with me when I had nightmares, who'd been my first call for so many years. I watched her sit at the defendant's table with dead eyes. The prosecution presented everything. The timeline of harassment. The fake credit applications. The bank login attempts. The apartment break-in. The texts and voicemails. The family meeting ambush. Patricia took the stand as a character witness for me and explained how the estate was always meant to be mine, how my father had been explicit and careful in his planning. When it was the defense's turn, their lawyer tried to paint me as a vengeful daughter who'd turned against her mother. They claimed Mom was just trying to have a conversation about fairness, that I'd misunderstood, that the break-in was Greg acting alone out of misguided concern. But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, looked at my mother during sentencing. Mrs. Morrison, what you did to your daughter is a profound betrayal. You used her grief as an opportunity for theft. You weaponized your relationship against her. And when she refused to comply, you turned to crime. I see cases like this more often than I'd like, where inheritance brings out the worst in people. But what troubles me most here is the sustained, calculated nature of your actions. Mom got 2 years in prison, suspended to 1 year with 4 years probation. Greg got 18 months in prison, suspended to 8 months with 3 years probation. Both were ordered to pay restitution for my legal fees, the damages to my apartment, and the costs of the identity theft protection I'd had to purchase. They were both issued permanent restraining orders. Mom had to stay at least 500 yards away from me at all times. As they were led out of the courtroom, my mom looked back at me. I expected anger, or hatred, or defiance. Instead, she looked lost. Like she couldn't understand how she'd gotten there. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The estate finally cleared probate in March, nearly 6 months after Dad died. Patricia called me to her office to sign the final papers. "It's done," she said, sliding the documents across her desk. "Everything your father wanted you to have is now yours. Free and clear." I looked at the numbers. After legal fees, taxes, and everything else, I'd netted about $1.3 million. The condo, the accounts, all of it mine. I should have felt happy, relieved, vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. "How are you holding up?" Patricia asked gently. "I don't know," I admitted. "My mom's in jail. My family's destroyed. I got what Dad wanted me to have, but it cost me everyone." "Not everyone. You still have people who care about you. And Nora, what your mother did wasn't your fault. You didn't destroy the family, she did. You just refused to let her destroy you too." I've thought about that conversation a lot in the months since, about fault and responsibility and choice. My mother chose greed over love. She chose money over her daughter. She chose crime over integrity. I chose to honor my father's wishes. I chose to protect myself. I chose to say no when someone demanded I set myself on fire to keep them warm. I won't pretend it doesn't hurt. Some days I miss my mom so much it physically aches. I miss the mom she was before all this, or maybe the mom I thought she was. I miss having a family. But I also know that the family I lost wasn't real. It was held together by my compliance, by my silence, by my willingness to make myself smaller so they could feel bigger. That's not family. That's hostage-taking. Real family doesn't ambush you with lawyers. Real family doesn't steal your identity. Real family doesn't break into your home. Real family honors the people you love, even after they're gone. I'm building a new life now. I bought a small house in Portland. I'm investing the money the way Dad taught me. I'm in therapy, working through the trauma and the grief and the complicated feelings about everything that happened. And sometimes, on clear days, I go hiking. I find a quiet trail, climb to somewhere high, and sit looking at the view. That's when I feel closest to Dad. When I'm in the places we used to go together, doing the things he loved. I talk to him sometimes. Tell him about my life, about the house, about how his money is growing in index funds just like he wanted. Tell him I'm okay. Tell him I'm sorry it had to be this way. Tell him thank you, for the inheritance, yes, but more for the lessons. For teaching me to be strong. To stand up for myself. To know my worth. For teaching me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you, even if they're family. Especially if they're family. The money sits in accounts and investments, growing quietly, securing my future. But the real inheritance, the one that actually matters, is the strength to protect it. And myself. That's what Dad really left me. Not just financial security, but the knowledge that I'm worth protecting. That my peace, my safety, my dignity matter more than keeping the peace with people who destroy me for profit. My mom gets out of jail in 4 months. I don't know what happens then. If she'll try to contact me, if she'll have learned anything, if there's any path to reconciliation. Honestly, I don't think there is. Some betrayals are too deep. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. And that's okay. I'm not the person I was before all this. I'm harder now, more cautious, less trusting. I've learned that people can smile while stabbing you in the back, that blood relation doesn't guarantee loyalty, that love can curdle into something toxic if you're not careful. But I've also learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive betrayal and come out the other side, that I can build a life on my own terms, without needing approval from people who'd rather see me fail than succeed. Dad knew. Somehow, he knew that giving me everything would cause problems. That's why his letter told me I didn't owe anyone anything. That's why he was so clear, so careful, so thorough. He was protecting me even after death. And I'm honoring that protection by refusing to be a victim. By taking what he gave me and building something good with it. By living a life he'd be proud of. That's the real victory here. Not the money, not the court case, not even getting justice. The victory is that I'm still here. Still standing. Still building my life. And nobody, not my mother, not her husband, not anyone, can take that away from me. This is my inheritance. This is my future. And I'm done apologizing for protecting both.